uh, basically to explain this, if anybody's wondering what is this about, right? Like, why is this happening? Why is this conflict going on? So basically, at one point, um, Israel wanted they claimed Jerusalem, right? And Palestine claimed Jerusalem. They both wanted this land, and they basically was having conflict, meaning they was going to war over this piece of land. And so I'm gonna go deeper and give a brief overview of this. I took some notes. So basically, man, it goes on. So this goes further than like the 1940s or something like this, but I want to say around the time, I guess, what the Holocaust was like in the 40s, right?
I'll fact check it, but continue.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Holocaust happened, right, the Jews started fleeing Europe. Well, not all the Jews. Obviously it was still some Jews in the Middle East already, but like a ton of them, like 10 of thousands, start
Mm-hmm.
start leaving Europe to flee, oppression and persecution, and they was going to the Middle East. What you got to say?
No, I was going to tell you. So fact checking. Yeah, Holocaust 1941 to 1945.
Okay, so yes, so they was fleeing the Holocaust. They went to the Middle East, I guess somewhere in that area, the Jerusalem area with Palestine, all that kind of stuff. And in 1947, right, violence
Mm-hmm.
got bigger between the Arabs, the Arabs and the Jews, and so the United Nations, because
Mm-hmm.
Britain was in control of Jerusalem at this time. You know that, right? So Britain was in control of Jerusalem at this time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the United Nations agreed to divide the British Palestine into two separate states. So
Mm-hmm.
they divided and said, for the Jews, Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and for the Arabs, Palestine, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so basically, long story short, they kept they kept fighting, right? They kept fighting, and I think the Arabs the Arabs declared a war against Israel, and Israel, they fought against them, and they actually
Mm-hmm.
won that time, right? And they won so much to the point where they pushed beyond the borders that was already declared that was Israel, right? They pushed past their borders into Palestine, and they took
Mm-hmm.
over, I think, the western part of Jerusalem. So a big, they took over big parts, right? And in the process of doing this, they also, I think, they pushed like a big population of the Palestinian people out of their homes. So I think the descendants of those people now, I think they said the population of them is like 7 million to this day,
Mm-hmm. Right.
you know. And so, and then, stuff kept going on, fights and, war, stuff like that kept going on. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Hamas, you know about Hamas?
Yeah, I'm learning more and more about them.
Yeah. So Hamas is a political faction,
For
and
sure.
they arrived out of all this conflict. And yeah, and then I want to say, I think in 19 yeah, I think in 1987 they was formed. Yeah, 1987.
So, real quick, just to quickly clean up what you just said with Hamas,
Okay.
acronym for Harakat al Mukawama al Islamiyah,
Mhm.
as in parentheses, Islamic Resistance Movement. It's the largest and most capable militant group in the Palestinian territories and one of the territory's two major political parties. So, yeah, just give us a kind of background of that. So,
Okay, appreciate you.
yeah,
Okay. So like I said, I'm just I'm hitting points,
sure.
briefly I'm not finna
Yeah,
go
to
deep
catch some people
dive
up.
in it. I'm just yeah, I'm giving quick points
We
on it.
ain't got the time. Yeah, we ain't
Yeah.
got the time. It's been so much going on. We just go look it up, research. It's called Google.
Mhm.
Okay, go
Yeah.
use it.
So yeah, for sure. Go use
Go
that
use it.
tool that God had blessed us with called Google. Yeah. So yeah, Hamas. So about, I guess, 7 months ago, uh,
Hmm.
Hamas. I think it was 7 months ago, but sometime not too long ago, right? Hamas attacked Israel, right?
Right.
And they was hitting them with missiles at first, and
Yep.
then after that, I think they attacked them from the ground. And
Yep.
so just where all of this, is going on now. And so basically, it's a little background, man.
Yeah.
And knowing overall that all this conflict is just over land. Like, obviously, the Jewish people, they find significant in Jerusalem, right?
Hmm.
They find significance of Jerusalem, and we already know why, because of things within the Bible and stuff like that. And then Muslim people find significance in Jerusalem, and they both want Jerusalem. So then they both are now fighting over Jerusalem.
Hmm.
And so, kind of like what we briefly talked about. Now, a lot of people, especially here in America, we come, who are Christians, we come to the aid of Israel and say, "Oh yeah, we fighting with Israel. We ride along with them." And yeah, I get it. I get the perspective. I'm not against them, but kind of like something that you said earlier. It's like, you know when you wrong, you're wrong. And when you right, you right. So it's like, we see 7 million refugees that was pushed out of their home to this day.
Hmm.
And we understand that you guys escaped from Europe and wanted freedom, and I understand you guys was persecuted, and
Hmm.
all these different things. You deserve vindication. You deserve to be helped through this process. But just because you went through that, don't mean it gives you the right to now oppress another group of people. you
Hmm.
know so my main thing is, war is bad in general. I'm not with war, and I'm not with one side. I'm not with the Palestinians. I'm not with the Israel people, because both sides have a lot of baggage behind them that they need to kind of, I guess, get through and work through. Yeah, I'm getting a little long with it.
Hmm.
What's your perspective on it?
Well, man, honestly, I hate so much about this because, from an American standpoint, right? First of all, to a certain degree, it's none of our business. Um, and that's not, and see, and I don't want to say that and come off like, oh, you don't care about injustice and murders and all this. No, that's not what I'm saying. Looking at the state of American affairs right now, we are no one to judge any other kind of country's goings on right now. We got a whole political election coming up. Potholes aren't filled in. National deficit ridiculously high. Um, you know, family dinner tables are divided now more than ever. We don't have the justification or the footing to be able to judge or look down on anybody else's foreign affairs right now. When we are kind of a political national laughing stock to a certain degree, depending on who you're asking. That's my first statement on that. Second of all, from an American standpoint, right? If you're talking about what perception we should have or with what's going on, it's a shame to see all these colleges around the country, and we won't get into who the specifics of where, why, but you have all these colleges who are having these protests happening, people getting arrested, for occupying grassy areas and fields, and classes getting shut down. All these things happening on the part of people who are, as we discussed earlier, they're more focused on trying to pick a side as opposed to trying to understand the
Hmm.
situation.
For
That's
sure.
the whole issue here. Like, people are in such a hurry to declare who's right, who's wrong, so they can try to find the right side to get on. And it's
Hmm.
like, and it's a lot of college kids, a lot of kids who don't know anything except what the internet tells them. They don't know about the years and years of buildup. They don't know the context. They don't know none of this stuff. They just know, oh, there's another conflict for us to, a
Hmm.
movement for us to join. Hey, we want to look right, you know, that kind of thing.
And it's
And
not about picking sides. You know what
yeah,
I
if
mean?
you're gonna pick a side, pick the side of truth, which is like right, truth just is. It's an acceptance of objective information. And if you want to have the biblical discussion about Israel, sure, Israel is God's original chosen people according to the Old Testament. Sure, God does not revoke God cannot revoke his promises; they can be taken away. Um, you know, but the other truth is Israel has, as a land, not the people of Israel, but Israel as a land has been warred over ever since the Israelites first took the promised land. As it was first given to them by God at first. And the part of the reason why there's been so much war over that land is because of their transgressions and their sin against God. But that's the biblical component to all this stuff. Just to kind of set the table to say, warring over these pieces of land known as Israel, that's always been the case.
You
It
mean
never not
Jerusalem or you mean
Jerusalem.
Israel?
Well, it's an all-encompassing thing. Jerusalem is the kind of the heartbeat of all this stuff because Jerusalem is the holy city, right, and everything. But as a whole, this unrest, this civil unrest over Jerusalem, Israel, however you want to slice it, that itself is not a new thing. It's taken on different shapes and sizes throughout the centuries. Different people groups, Babylonian, Assyria, all these different ones, all these different kingdoms and empires that have risen and fallen, and Israel has been kind of at the heart of all this stuff. But now, yet again, without trying to pick a side, objectively, all we know is there have been attacks launched that have involved Israel and Palestinians, and that just kind of continues this trend of everything that's been going on. And now America's kind of caught up in the middle to where now people are upset about the amount of funding being sent over and all these things. When we got so many issues of our own, is you know
Yes.
limited information. All we see
So
are bombs going off, and people are overreactionary, which sounds like a normal Monday in America nowadays.